I'm Allison Ramirez. And we also have joining us Carson Muir, Abby, I can't always pronounce her last name, so I apologize.
That is good. That's my real last name at this point anyway.
There you go. And we have Aisha Jordan as well. So for any questions about the Chicago chapter, please feel free to reach out to us. We love getting to know our members, and we love Chicago. So definitely reach out to us. We want to meet you guys. And just for some other housekeeping announcements, the job board on the Millennials in Travel website is available to you if you're looking for a career in the travel industry, or if you're looking to just share a position with the company that you work for. Please visit the professional development page on the website, as it's a very, very resourceful tool. And yeah, and check out our page as well for upcoming events. So you can also get in the newsletter, but we are working across with all of our chapters to resume in-person events, as we know a lot of people are probably exhausted of virtual events, but you know, we are still very much excited to be planning the virtual events as well. So follow us along on social media and our website to just get all the updates. And I think those are all my announcements for beginning our presentation. So seeing that it's 6:10 p.m., should we start?
Yeah. Officially?
I think so. I'm introducing Abby, who's going to be doing a tie-dye demonstration for you. So Abby, take it away. Thank you in advance.
Thank you. So in honor of Earth Day last week, we wanted to show you how to upcycle some of those t-shirts or bags that you get that you may not have a use for anymore, rather than filling our landfills. So I'm wearing one of the finished products. I made this last week, and I will show you step by step of what I did, as well as Carson and I have some tips and tricks for what worked really well as what did not work at all. So you don't have to go through the process of finding foods that are actually successful. So to start, you take whatever it is that you want to dye. So a shirt, a bag, and you launder that. I'm not going to show you how to do laundry today. You're on your own on that one. And once it's fully washed and dried, you're going to take it with a pot of water. So I'm just gonna go down on my stove here. So you're gonna take it with a pot of water, and there's 8 cups of water. We'll also send out all of the recipe details for this, so no need to write anything down right now. 8 cups of water, and then half a cup of salt that you're gonna throw in there. And then you're just gonna put the t-shirt like directly into the water all the way. My husband was definitely judging me as I was doing this. He was like, "You're gonna light something on fire," but I did not. And then you're gonna turn it on and bring it to a boil. So it's gonna sit in the water, and the water is gonna come to a boil. And it's gonna be in there for an hour, 1 hour. And then in the meantime, you're gonna set up your dyeing station. So I used just pots like this to do all the different dye. So I did 2 different dyeing stations, and I did blueberries and spinach. Again, I'm not going to go through all of those details right now, but I put in 2 cups of blueberries with like a cup of water, so that it was not full, just like basically covered all of the blueberries, and that was it. And then did the same with the spinach. So did like 2 cups of spinach with just enough water to cover the spinach. And then you bring both of those, or however many dyes you're doing as well, to a boil. And then as soon as they're at a boil, you turn them to simmer. And you let the dyes sit for like at simmer for like 2 to 3 hours. And then as long as you're in the room, You can do other things, make calls, book trips, respond to emails, as long as you have, you know, just an eye on the two pots. You don't need to be over them while the t-shirt is getting the fixative with the salt, or while the dyes are actually turning into dye. So after an hour, you're going to remove the t-shirt from the heat. So it stays in the water. You want it to be wet when it gets dyed, but you just remove it from the heat so it can cool down. I left mine just sitting in the pot of water cooling down. You could drain it too and just leave it in the pot, whatever is easiest. And then at that point, while the dye is still simmering, but the t-shirt has fully cooled and is wet, I'm just gonna squeeze it out here. This is when you get to design the pattern you want. So I will also send out some ideas for patterns. You can basically like do it long ways and put rubber bands in spots down the side. You can fold it. The way I did this one that I'm wearing is I actually just grabbed it right in the middle and then bunched it all up like this. And you just want to get it into a nice tight bunch, and then you're going to take a bunch of rubber bands and you're just going to rubber band it up. So you can do all of this while the dye is sitting. The longer, so like for the blueberries, the longer it sits and simmers, the darker the dye you're going to get. For the spinach, it didn't seem to matter. It didn't get dark enough. But for any of the dyes you want to do, the darker the color you want, the longer you want the dye to sit. So then I'm just rubber banding it up. You want the rubber bands tight. And again, you can do an interesting pattern, or you can just do it kind of at random. We actually had a package of rubber bands that were all different sizes, so that kind of worked nicely to give a random pattern.
Did you do a random pattern, Abby?
Yeah, so I did it just like this, where I basically like took rubber bands and did them kind of all around, and I had just scrunched up the shirt into a ball like this. So it was super easy.
Yeah, easy peasy for sure.
Yeah. So then once it's rubber banded, wet, and the dye is done and removed from the heat, then you're ready to dye. So this one was all just one dye. It was all just the blueberries. We'll show you at the end. Carson did actually 3 different colors, 3 different attempts from different dyes on one shirt. You can do it however you want. So you can actually dye in different ways too. So what I did was with the blueberries and the spinach, I just removed all of the actual ingredient. So the dye was ready. I just took out all the blueberries and took out all the spinach. You can either do that with, you know, a spatula, or you can, I recommend gloves. So you can just put on rubber gloves and pull out the ingredients and toss them. So then you have your pots of dye at that point, and you can either do like a spray bottle if you want to get a cool design, or what I did, because it was easier and I could multitask then, I just put it right in the pot and let it sit, and just turned it a few times because the dye was cool, the shirt was cool. So I just had on my gloves and I turned it a few different times, and I let it sit for this one, probably for like almost an hour to get like a more purpley color. And then I did another one that I'll show you guys that was more for like 20 minutes. So the longer you let it sit in the dye, the darker color you'll get. And it will look darker when you dye it than once it's actually done and dried. So then you want it, after you've gotten all of the dye, the color you want, you're gonna leave all the rubber bands on, you're gonna leave it all scrunched up. I put it in a plastic bag overnight, just so that it wouldn't get on anything. But you wanna leave it overnight to let the dye really sink in. So I just took a plastic bag. You can actually, if it's still cool, you can actually stick the plastic bag in the microwave for like 1 minute. It will not harm anything, I promise. And that lets the dye soak in better too. So you just take this in the morning, you let it sit overnight. I know the anticipation will be killing all of you, but you have to let it sit overnight. And then you take it out the next day once it's all dyed. And at this point, I would go into a bathroom or somewhere where you can let it drip to dry. So I took it to my bathtub, took it wet, and one at a time just removed all of the rubber bands. I put gloves on again for this step. And then you're going to remove the rubber bands and you're going to rinse out the shirt to let any of the remaining dye that is excess drip off. So again, why you want to be in the bathroom for that part. Mine actually, it ran clear really quickly. It was only, 15 seconds and all the blue and purple was out and it was running clear. And then at that point, you'll have a nice tie-dyed shirt and you just want to hang it to dry. So I hung mine in the bathtub so that if there were any drips that I missed, they didn't stain my floors purple, even though it's a pretty color. I don't know if anybody wants that color for their floors. And then once it was dry, it was ready to wear. And I've even washed it once and it still held the color nicely. So this was the blueberries. I'll show you one other. It's a little bit purpler. This one that I did, you can see. It had like a little bit of a longer time and it got that like darker purple. And then I'll show you guys the spinach because I won't pretend that there weren't failures with this. Spinach did not work. It looks just kind of dirty. So don't recommend that. And then Carson tried 3 other options as well. So he's going to share his too.
Thanks, Abby. Yeah, I had some trials of my own, but I am wearing my final product, which was a yellow tie-dye. And I went with turmeric powder. And so I followed all the same steps that Abby had mentioned. The one nice thing about turmeric powder is you don't have to go through the straining process. It kind of just boils into the water and creates the dye. And so there's one less step in a sense. But I also did beets and red cabbage. The beets came out kind of a little bloody looking, unfortunately, but did give some color. And then the red cabbage was similar to the spinach and just washed right out and didn't leave any color. But yeah, I definitely recommend turmeric. Worked really well and came out with a nice yellow color. And one thing I did differently, I don't know if it's a big step, but I did use vinegar instead of salt in my boiling water. So I think both would work fine. And yeah, same steps of using the plastic bag with the microwave for a little bit, letting it sit overnight, and then washing it out in the morning after you take off the rubber bands and letting it dry. And then it was ready to go. And haven't washed it in any other, dryer or washing machine, but it's holding the color so far.
And we'll send all of our favorites and then the ones that didn't work as well. I think berries hold color really nicely, so those all definitely work. I've heard avocado pits work really well. One of the things that as I started doing it, it said not to reuse the pot for cooking. So that to me was a deal breaker. I didn't want to throw away a pot just to make a tie-dye shirt. But if you have a pot that you use for other things that you're not going to eat out of, I've heard avocado pits, they actually make a really pretty pale pink color. And I've seen some examples that look really nice with the avocado pits. So we'll include it on the list, but just give fair warning that you need a pot that you're not going to cook food in afterwards.
They look great. I think it's like really incredible, and they look so professional looking. Like I feel like if someone's trying to buy a tie-dye shirt, you did it in a sustainable manner and it looks awesome. Good job, guys.
Thanks. It was surprisingly easy. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, I decided to tie my shirt like as like kind of a long, almost like snake style with just rubber bands, and then like wrap it into the pot when I dropped it in the turmeric. So my design, I guess, came out a little bit different, but pretty much any of the different ties that you do will come out a little bit different. And yeah, super successful. It was not hard at all. It took, you know, a few hours of commitment and then just a little bit of waiting time, but overall it was an easy process and super sustainable.
Awesome. Well, thanks for letting us share.
Absolutely.
All right, Aisha, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our guests.
Awesome. Good job, Abby. Also a good activity to do with kids.
Yeah.
I wish I had some. That'd be top of the list.
Yes, the dyes are all super safe. That's another advantage of it. If you accidentally ate the dye, it's blueberry water, so it's totally fine.
Exactly. All right, guys, another exciting part of our event today, we are going to hear from two of our sponsors. First, we're going to hear from Katie from Travel. She's a travel advisor, sales manager from Four Seasons Resort Bora Bora. Katie, take it away.
All right, thank you so much. So happy to be here, everyone. Yorana, hello from Four Seasons Bora Bora. I'm Katie Lundell, based in Chicago, and I'm really happy to talk a little bit about the sustainability initiatives at Four Seasons Bora Bora. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go to the presentation. 1 second here. All right, this is the beautiful blue lagoon that we're lucky enough to call home. And, you know, my presentation today is really going to focus on the sustainability issues. But if you'd ever like to have a one-on-one conversation with me outside of this meeting, I'm happy to go into many more, you know, points and answer any questions you have on how to get to the destination and everything like that. But there are flights from LA and San Francisco. It's an 8-hour flight to Tahiti. And, you know, one thing that I think is really important to note is that both Air Tahiti Nui out of LA and United out of San Francisco are using Boeing Dreamliners. And so especially Air Tahiti Nui's product was old before and not as efficient. And now their plane is much more efficient. So very happy to have that for people traveling to the destination. It's a 45-minute flight from Tahiti to Bora Bora, and then we're there at the airport to greet the guests, and it's a 15-minute boat ride to the resort. So everything's going to be, you're going to be getting around via boat to and from the resort. And we're an all-suite resort. All the accommodations are 1,000 square feet or larger. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about what we, some of the initiatives we have in the room, and then I'm going to show you some pretty pictures too. So we renovated all of our guest rooms last year with new furniture, fixtures, artwork, all of that. But at the same time, we added energy efficient lighting and heating and cooling systems, you know, low flow toilets. So the room product was about 10 years old. So there was an opportunity to, you know, use some new technology. We actually use gray water for irrigation. So I had to look that up a little bit, but gray water is the wastewater that's generated from, sorry, there's a plane going overhead. Bear with me for a moment if it's loud. It's wastewater that's generated without fecal contamination. So it's really all streams except toilets. So sinks, showers, baths, washing machines or dishwashers, they can be used for irrigation or other purposes. We also make sure we use, we do have to use pest control because there's a lot of pests that like to make the bungalows their home if they have the opportunity to. So we use non-toxic pest control measures. And of course, we change the linens and towels every 3 days now and give the guests the opportunity to say, no, I want that sooner rather than just automatically changing those towels every day. There's also solar panels now on every guest room to heat water. There's a comprehensive recycling program. You know, even though we're in Bora Bora, we still recycle those Nespresso pods and refillable glass bath products for the shampoo and conditioner and lotions. So just a few initiatives we have in our beautiful rooms. all of the rooms look out to the lagoon, and that's what we're protecting here. And, you know, something that's been beautiful about travel being on pause for the most part, or much reduced, is that the animals have had use of the lagoon to reclaim it in many ways. And so when the travelers go there, they're going to be seeing more animal life than ever in the lagoon. We have the beautiful soaking tub here, so lots of beauty in the room itself, and then just the immense of outdoor space, this back terrace with the plunge pool, and the mountain view is the preferred view in the destination. So this is the reason you made it all the way there to have the lagoon right in your backyard. And then we have 7 beachfront villa estates, each with their own private pool and private beachfront. These were updated last year. We put in new pools and everything like that. So more opportunities, again, to integrate these initiatives. So that's beautiful, beautiful accommodations on our beach. And then, you know, going into some of our food and beverage outlets, I wanted to mention that we do have a purchasing program where we really try to seek, you know, food products that are locally and regionally produced, and incorporate those recycled materials whenever possible, you know, including bamboo and paper straws, so avoiding the plastic, and solar panels on our resort buildings that provide 20% of those buildings' electrical power. So, you know, really just finding new ways and every time trying to get better as we, you know, every year are open as a resort. So this is a cute little food truck that we opened last year with grab and go options like paninis and beer and ice cream. We have 4 beautiful restaurants, all open air, all with beautiful views of the lagoon as well. So, you know, everything from the fine dining concept to more feet in the stand experience at Farahoa. There's live entertainment here, in-room dining as well. We can even have the you can pay extra to have a canoe breakfast bring you your breakfast in the morning. This is a spot where we do wedding and vow renewals, but it's also a place at the end of the day where we have private dining. So very special spot under the stars for a romantic dinner. And then, you know, we really integrate the culture. It's not something that needs to be added in. It's inherent in the resort and in the destination. So there is a Polynesian dinner show on once a week, and it ends with fire dancing on the beach. So it's really fun and one of my favorite things to do at the resort. So, you know, transitioning into our activities, we have a marine biologist on staff and a lagoon sanctuary where we do research and we preserve coral, and we, you know, provide education to our guests on everything that we can do to protect our lagoon. Fishing is prohibited around the resort to conserve. We have over 100 types of fish and corals. So very, very much special place that we need to respect and protect. So this is some of those activities like stand-up paddleboarding. We have a lot of non-motorized water sports to offer that are complimentary. We have tennis courts that you can use complimentary. And then there's extra additional activities like jet ski tour around the island. And then this is one of my favorite spots at the resort. You don't even need an appointment at the spa to enjoy it. I just wanted to show you, like, after all of these efforts, like, this is what you want to be able to do, is take in this view. So I really enjoy it. And then lagoon cleanup days, we do these at least semi-annually, if not more. And one of the first ones we did resulted in over 1,300 pounds of debris being retrieved from the lagoon and under and near our bungalows. So, you know, there's a lot of effort from our employees to protect, as well as, you know, just initiatives made by our executive committee.
And
so thank you for your time. Thank you for your time today. Yeah, it's such a beautiful place, and I would love to tell you more about it. So please stay in touch. I'm gonna hit, when I'm done here, I'm gonna send my contact information over the chat box. And if you go scroll to the top of the chat box, there is a PowerPoint or a presentation, a PDF of what I just talked about with the green and community initiatives that we have at the resort. So, and I'd be remiss not to mention that the destination is reopening on May 1st after being closed since February. We had, I'll stop sharing my screen now and go, there we go. Yeah, we had to close French closed the tourism to the islands to protect against potential variants. And so we are really excited to be reopening. And if you have any travelers interested in coming, I'm happy to share the entry requirements with you as well. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to send it over to Ashley Varka, who is our sales manager for Four Seasons Lanai and Sensei.
Thanks. I must tell you, I used to sell Four Seasons Bora Bora, so I have been there many times. I'm going back to the resort next year for my 20-year wedding anniversary, and it literally, the pictures don't do it justice. So please put Tahiti on your list if you all have not been. I'll quickly share my screen. Once again, I'm Ashley Varka. I am based in Winnetka, so locally in Chicago, and I rep both the Four Seasons Lanai as well as Sensei Lanai, which is our newest hotel in the Four Seasons Hawaii collection. So I'll run through this, and then at the end, Katie and I can take any questions, and we do have a little giveaway if you all hang on one quick minute. All right. There we go. And I'll put my details in the chat as well at the end. So reaching Lanai, I'm sure many of you all are very familiar with Hawaii, but maybe not as much about Lanai. Lanai is the only private island on the entire region of Hawaii. The way to get to us is very unique and very ultra exclusive. We own our entire jet of fleets. We own 9 jets on Lanai Air. So basically to get to us, you're going to take any airline into Honolulu. And then from there, it's a 30-minute flight from Honolulu over to Lanai. Currently, we are including the private round trip on Lanai Air for bookings at Four Seasons Lanai through the end of this year, and for all future bookings at Sensei Lanai as well. So basically, anytime you come to Lanai this year, Lanai Air is included. And on top of that, you'll also see the Tesla transfer there that's included once you reach the Lanai airport. That Tesla will take you to either Sensei Lanai or the Four Seasons Resort, which is our beach resort. You'll see here inside the plane, these are PC-12 planes. Currently, due to COVID, we only sell 4 of the 8 seats. So if you have a family, they're probably going to get their own jet. Or if you have a couple, they might just be sharing with one other couple. So Lanai Air is truly what makes our resorts a very ultra exclusive arrival process. Also, what makes Lanai unique is that we own the entire island. There are no other resorts on the island of Lanai but our 2 resorts. So it's a very unique thing. We own all 40,000 acres on Lanai. And in addition to that, we manage all of our own activities. So nothing is truly outsourced, which is a very unique thing. Not really anything is run by third parties. We have 100 horses in our horse farms, which is right next to Sensei. We have Jeep tours you can take any day. We also have wellness classes on property at both properties. Many of those are complimentary. You'll see we've got snorkeling here, fishing, and my favorite must do at the beach resort is our sunset sail. In addition to that, we also have a brand new Lanai Adventure Park that opened end of last year. This is truly state of the art. This is similar to something you would see in Costa Rica. This has zip lining, ropes courses, electric bikes. We also have ropes courses for children separate from the adults. This adventure park is truly one of a kind and something you won't find anywhere else on any of the islands in Hawaii. So we're very proud of that. Next up is the beach resort. This is the one you might have heard of or seen pictures of. So this is called Four Seasons Resort Lanai. This is a larger resort. It has about almost 215 guest rooms, and we've got a lot of suites and connecting room options here. This is the view in this picture from majority of the guest rooms. Shown here is the family-friendly pool. We have another pool to the left, but this really shows you how you can just walk right out on that beach and the Halope Bay. This is the lobby. So this is the welcome experience your guests will see when they first arrive onto Lanai property. Very open air. We do have, as I mentioned, a lot of guest room options, everything from garden view up to 3-bedroom suites. And we do have connecting as well as rooms with double beds for families. My personal favorite for couples are some of those prime oceanfront rooms because you've got a really good direct view of the ocean there. And then for families, I recommend the Ohana suites because they have a separate living area with a second full bathroom and a sofa bed and a door that separates. So almost by getting a 1-bedroom Ohana suite, you can easily put a family of 3 or 4 in there with lots of space. Dining on property. We are all 5 of our restaurants are open air dining. Nobu Lanai is the famous restaurant many of you all have heard of. Within Nobu, we do dinner. We also have a teppanyaki and a sushi making station. So if you eat in Nobu multiple nights, you'll have a very different experience each night. On the right side, we have views. This is up at our golf course. Sorry, my computer is running a scan. All right. And then 140 in the bottom left is we serve breakfast in there as well as becomes a steakhouse at dinner. And then Malibu Farms does lunch as well as evening cocktails. And there we service our pool and beaches. And the break is our newest concept. It's a very casual American. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, but it's a nice place to go because in the evenings there's games. It's a bit of a sports bar and it's got sort of hamburgers and hot dogs, but a really nice new thing that we just brought to the resort. Here's a better picture of the pools. The one shown here, they're very much lagoon style pools, is our family friendly. Then to the left side, we have an adult only pool as well. And then we also have sanctuaries you can rent around the pools as well. On property at the beach resort, we do have the world-class Jack Nicklaus golf course. All 18 holes look over the ocean. You might be familiar that Bill Gates had his wedding here. We also do a large amount of weddings on the 18th hole as well. And it's very unique that to have a golf course where all 18 holes look over the ocean. On the right side, we do have a spa on property. We do have couple suites as well as regular treatment rooms there as well. And then at the beach resort, as I said, if you book before June 30th and stay before the end of the year, Lanai Air round trip is included. For 5 nights or longer, 5th night complimentary is the value package, or for clients staying 4 nights or less, Discover Lanai gives them a daily resort credit. So that's the updates on Four Seasons Lanai. Now we'll talk about Sensei Lanai. This is the only wellness focused retreat ever in Hawaii. This is a very unique concept. Sensei is actually, knowing the history of it, it's actually based in California. It's owned by our owner, Larry Ellison, who's a very famous owner of Oracle, as well as owns the entire island of Lanai. And Sensei is his wellness-focused spa, and he's actually going to start building these across the country and across the world. Sensei Lanai is the first one of his projects. The next one will be in California, and then other locations will be announced later on next year. So Sensei is something that you'll start hearing in the future, beyond just this one that we do have on Lanai. One thing about this resort, it is for clients 16 and older, as well as it has a 2-night length of stay requirement. So many people will mix the beach resort and Sensei and just do a 7-night stay. You mostly will do 5 nights at the beach resort and 2 or 3 nights up at Sensei. This is the layout. Some of you all might have known years and years ago, it was called the Lodge at Kauai. It closed for almost a 5-year enhancement. This was all done before COVID. We kept the main buildings, but the entire resort is 3 times as large in acreage as it was before. We added in that man-made pools as well as that man-made lake there. And in the back, that number 1 through 10, these are all the spa halls, which I'll show you soon. This is a very intimate resort, only has 100 guest rooms. So it's a very unique, it very much has a retreat feel. You'll see here in the lobby, you can sit by the fireplace, read a book. It very much has a retreat feel, upcountry feel. This shows you the pool. The pool up here is actually very large and really shows you that landscape. This resort is all about the gardens and the beautiful Lanai landscape that you're taking in there. The lush gardens are shown here as well. We do a garden tour around the resort every day. What Sensei focuses on, the Sensei way per se, is called, as it focuses on movement, nourishment, and rest. So there's lots of daily classes included. And then there's also, you can also do meetings with our Sensei guides. These are the Sensei employees. If you want to come and focus on nutrition, or you want to come and just make sure that your wellness is there, we can do any of those in-house testing things for you. But again, some people just want to come and lay by the pool as well. But if you do want to create and customize your entire wellness experience, you can do that with our Sensei guides. One of the highlights of Sensei is truly these spa halls. These were made in Thailand and brought over. As I said, there's 10 of them. They include indoor and outdoor treatment areas, indoor and outdoor hot tubs, indoor and outdoor hot saunas as well. They truly, truly are the center of this resort and truly, truly the wow experience at Sensei. As I mentioned, this resort is a little bit small, only 100 guest rooms. We have Kauai rooms, Kauai deluxe rooms, or a handful of suites as well. And they're all go right out to a patio. It's only 2 floors of the guest rooms. And then the restaurant here is Sensei by Nobu. This is the first Nobu restaurant in the world to have a wellness-centric menu, but it also has a regular menu, and we do serve alcohol. So if you want to come and eat as much as you want, you can do that as well. What I was going to mention for Earth Day is Sensei Farms. So Lanai is well on its way to becoming a completely self-sufficient island. We're not quite there yet. We do grow majority of our food on property at the Sensei Farms shown here. And we also sell it locally in the grocery store. So not only are we using the Sensei Farm food to feed our guests, we're also feeding all the locals that live on Lanai. Almost 85% of the locals that live on Lanai are managed and employed by the Four Seasons resorts. So it's really nice that we can sell the Sensei food in our local grocery store. So that's really a big sustainability part of this. In the future, we have added in a kitchen where we can bring families and guests to eat at Sensei Farms and take a tour of it, but that has not opened yet. But this also shows you how expansive the land is on Lanai. Sensei Lanai, the bookings, all bookings at any time include Lanai air round trip at Sensei Lanai. We have a roommate only package. We also have guided Sensei experiences for clients that are probably going to be doing spa or activities. You can get a daily wellness credit to put towards spa and activities. The last thing I wanted to mention was festive availability. Both resorts currently have space for Thanksgiving with no minimum length of stay. But if you're thinking of coming over festive, it's a 1, 5, or 8 night length of stay. So please let us know. I talked a lot, so I will stop sharing my screen.
Awesome. Thank you.
You can ask any.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashley and Katie, for your presentations. Both resorts are stunning and sound like they're both have quite a few initiatives that are really supporting sustainability. And I think it was the perfect escape from the cold weather in Chicago today for me. Let's definitely, I think there's a few questions that are out there. So let's do questions now. I had a quick question for Katie that I wanted to ask just about that beach cleanup that the staff and the executives get involved in. Is that something that you open up to guests or anyone who has a green thumb
I love that
at the
idea,
property?
Carson. Let me ask, I'll look into it a little bit more and find out, because I know that I know that a part of this is including the guests in trying to make them a part of this effort, whether it is actually beach cleanup or, it was a little, something I didn't mention is, it was a little challenging with the pandemic because we had gone in using a lot of glassware and, instead of single-use plastic, and then we had to kind of work around that a little bit. So I don't know if all of the initiatives that we started could continue throughout the pandemic, but there's a way, if there's a way to introduce this to guests, I think we really need to. So thank you, and I'll look into it.
Awesome. Anyone else have a question that they'd like to ask our two guests today? Valerie? Or Ariel, do you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Valerie Iwasaki. I'm with Terranea Resort. And our hotel actually does beach cleanup and coastal cleanup as well. And what we do, Katie and Ashley, is that we actually provide trash grabbers. You can actually buy it on Amazon. On Amazon. And it's not something that we push. But if clients, want to do, especially being that this month is Earth Month,
right?
We just have it available for clients, and we give them gloves, a trash bag, and they can go around. I actually do coastal cleanup myself. We have a green team at the resort, which comprises of different individuals across different departments. And they're basically the eyes, and they can look for ways to improve, ways that we can reduce waste in each of our respective department. But we do weekly what we call impact days, where we just spend like 20 minutes out on the coast cleaning up, and then we weigh our bags to see how much we collect, but it is definitely something that I think that every hotel should do. I mean, I feel like during this time, during COVID, I've seen more trash than usual. We see a lot of PPEs, along the coast.
I love that you guys are also tracking it. I think that's a great way to motivate people to beat their record or, clean up more and get more trash weight picked up. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Valerie.
sometimes it's disheartening because the more you pick up, it means that people are littering or there's more.
Yeah.
So it gets a little disheartening, especially I've seen more trash during COVID than ever before. But I think that if we can all, support one another and, make a conscious effort, I actually have a trash grabber in my car. I keep it in my car, and I pick up when I go to the groceries and I see trash, I just pick it up.
Awesome. I think that's a great piece of
everyone
advice.
A
And
little bit, it will go a long way.
the more of us that do it, the more trash will get cleaned up. Ariel, did you have a question for the guest?
Yes, I have a question, totally different direction, so I apologize. And then I've got a comment about that. But Katie, so just if you can backtrack for a moment. So I understand, obviously, I don't know what to call them, the places that are French around the world. I apologize.
The French territories.
I didn't know what the proper terminology was. So
Sure.
I understand, obviously, they have been waiting to open. Is it just Bora Bora that's opening, or is St. Bart's and all of the other territories planning to open as well?
I think St. Bart's is doing their own path to reopening. I think, from what I understand, they're doing a vaccination program right now, and then I think
because we're waiting until everybody's vaccinated.
Yeah, and I think they're more like mid-May. We have vaccination well underway in French Polynesia, but we're going to be opening up to vaccinated travelers from the U.S. And then also people who can prove that if they've been positive with COVID in the past, they can show a serology test proving their immunity and antibodies. So you really need to have either a vaccine or prove that you have antibodies through a past infection in order to bypass a 10-day quarantine in Tahiti.
So basically, too long didn't read. The French government is easing up on the territories next month is basically
correct. Yes.
Obviously, there's other caveats there, but that's the takeaway.
Yes, and French Polynesia might be a little different than St. Bart's. We're going to be definitely reopening on May 1st. Yes.
Okay. And then, and I apologize if this wasn't mentioned before, but I would really be curious, and maybe some of the hotels can weigh in as well, from the other agents on the line. Something I started experimenting with as kind of inspired by what the Hawaii is doing with the pushing the, I believe it's called the Malama program, with pushing people to consider volunteering when they're on vacation. But I would love to kind of hear whether it's, how it impacts the environment, how some of the other agents on the line are bringing the sustainability concepts, whether it's encouraging people to consider to budget part of their vacation budget to organizations that are furthering the environment, or taking some time if maybe a budget isn't, they just don't have it in their budget to do something like that, taking some time to give back to the local community, either before they travel or during their travels. I mean, I would love to kind of hear how some other people are bringing that up with their clients and their travelers, if my question makes sense. Sorry to ramble on the end there, but I'm quite curious if that's, there's a hotel group that has a CO2 calculator for some of their event spaces and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm very curious to hear about that a little bit.
Sounds like that. Yeah. If any of the agents on the line have any clients that are interested in these type of initiatives, is that what you're looking for, Ariel?
I guess my question is, like, I've kind of experimenting at the end of my itineraries, putting a CO2 calculator and encouraging people to consider to make a donation for what, to offset their CO2 or donate to a local organization. But I'm still kind of figuring out how to navigate that, obviously, because if somebody's coming to me to talk about travel, it's not a social environmental conversation. They're here to talk about travel, but while we're going back to the idea of leave only footprints and support the locals, obviously that's an important aspect of that conversation. So I'd be very curious to hear, from some of the other agents on the line, how they broach that subject. Obviously we have to take it with care because that's not the topic that the clients are coming to talk to us about, but I'm definitely very interested to kind of hear that, or even from, you know, Kirsten, how you guys bring that up as part of the travel planning process.
Yeah, so I'd love to speak to that, Ariel. I mean, sustainable travel is like one of my biggest passions. I think it's so important when we travel, you know, to protect the environment, support the communities, and work on conservation. And so what I found, I mean, I kind of struggle with it too, right? 'Cause it's like you don't want to sound so preachy to your clients, but you also want to talk about its importance. So what I've done is for each trip that I do, I've partnered with One Tree Planted. I don't know if you've heard of them before. But for each trip that I do or I plan, like I plant a tree for like the number of people are going, the number of room nights, and it's just like a small thing to kind of like get the conversation starting. Because usually when I tell clients, oh, you know, you went on your trip, it was great, your trip planted like 4 trees or 5 trees or something like that. They're like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea, like that's great. Can you tell me more about this? Things like that. And I also make sure, you know, whenever I work with suppliers, the suppliers have the same ethos that I do, you know, like they also work with, you know, the local communities, like the money goes back into it. They have sustainable initiatives. And so I also bring that to their attention, you know, like, oh, this is a great, for example, you know, like Four Seasons Bora Bora, they do this trash cleanup. They have solar panels, you know, I try to like kind of incorporate it in that sense, to kind of make it, you know, like part of the trip, not like, oh, this is an additional thing to your trip. It's just sort of like, this is included, this is incorporated in it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. If you don't mind,
this is, oh, so sorry.
Sorry, Allison. If you don't mind me asking, Caroline, are you budgeting that as part of it? You don't have to answer it, as part of your planning fee or your commissions. Obviously planting a tree is probably like $5-10, but how do you kind of budget that on the back end?
Yeah, so for the One Tree Planted, what's nice is for $1 you donate, it's 1 tree, right? So like I can afford to pay like $5 off of my commission or planning fee in order to like sort of make that contribution, right? And so I also offer, for some of the clients who like know that this is what I do, this is my passion, I've offered, you know, to do the carbon offset calculation for them, because I'm like, I know it's a huge pain in the butt. It's like, you know, a lot of numbers and it can be very intimidating, but like I'm familiar with it and I'm happy to do it. But I will just ask that they, you know, pay for that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you'll give them the information that empowers them to then act, sort of a thing.
Right, exactly.
And sorry, Allison, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No problem at all. I just wanted to mention that our team is very similar to Caroline's perspective in terms of a lot of it comes out of our own initiative to be able to sell to the client certain suppliers or certain actual travel products that will relate to sustainability. So I would say that a lot of it falls into the selling process. You know, like in terms of one example that I can just use is there are some trips like with Mikado Safaris that will pay towards education for children and or at least their tuition, and we'll look at them to see what are some other ways that they are able to contribute while they're actually on their trip, and they want to have a focus with sustainability. So there are certain suppliers that our team knows that can focus on that. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been like one of those things where, and Caroline, I like that you said you brought up that calculator, because I saw it. I think the UN has one, and I really want to bring it up, but I obviously, again, if somebody's just trying to get outside and they're not ready to talk about it, and obviously we're there to bring it up, but I definitely want to handle with care type of thing, of course.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ariel, for the questions, and Caroline for the great advice and what you're doing in your own role. It actually transitions perfectly into our last segment. I'm going to share my screen. So we're kind of talking, oh, let me share the right screen. All right, do you guys see my Earth Day logo? Okay, perfect. So it transitions nicely into kind of this last part of our presentation, we wanted to do a bit of a call to action to everyone on the call, and we're going to continue to promote this out to MIT members. You know, today we were able to get a glimpse into two great suppliers who are, you know, doing different initiatives on the ground in the locations in which their properties are located. I know from listening to Caroline and Ariel talk that it is something that we're talking to our clients about and explaining, you know, how they can choose sustainable products and focus on ecotourism. And so I thought it would be really great to just kind of put a mirror in front of all of us and kind of take those conversations and take them back to wherever we are in our own location. So, you know, myself, Ashley, Katie, you know, your properties are doing all these amazing things, but you're here in Chicago. So what can you do locally to also be a part of this change and a part of this, you know, goal to, you know, move towards restoring our earth? And so I kind of wanted to challenge all of you to decide how you best you would like to engage in this space. And so here's just 3 ideas that I came up with from the Earth Day website that I'll share with you really quick. So first, similar to what Caroline was talking about, the $1 tree project is another name for the Canopy Project. They partner with a variety of different organizations across the world that essentially, through your donations, $1 of your donation will equal 1 tree. And these are, you know, planted in areas that can help kind of restore CO2 and get us back to moving towards just a more healthier planet and a more sustainable planet. So the second is the Great Global Cleanup. You know, these are events where you volunteer. They happen, you know, particularly are popular over the last week, which was kind of Earth Week and over Earth Day, but they actually do take place throughout the year, right along the lines of what Katie and her team are doing in Bora Bora. Essentially, it's a group of people getting together and cleaning up any pollution in a certain area and contributing to sustainability that way. And then the third one is something that I just came across this year and I thought it was kind of interesting and seemed like it applied nicely to our industry. But earthday.org launched a Global Earth Challenge. Essentially what they're doing is encouraging individuals to become citizen scientists. And one of their initiatives that they're working on right now is a air quality kind of research project. And what they're asking people to do is download their app and then take pictures of the horizon in wherever you live or wherever you're traveling and post it to their app. And they have an algorithm to be able to measure the air quality based on the photo that you've taken. So it could be a great tool to have as a travel advisor or working the travel industry to have that app and wherever you're traveling to remember to take one picture and post it to this initiative and become a citizen scientist. So those are the 3 that I came up with, or sorry, that I found that I thought were great for this group. And I would encourage all of you to try and engage in one of those 3 actions. And for the first person to do one of those 3 things, either donate to the Canopy Project, sign up to volunteer with the Great Global Cleanup, or post a picture to the Global Earth Challenge in their app, the first person to do that and email us at shy@millennialsandtravel.com is going to be the winner of our gift card to Four Seasons. And so I would encourage all of you to choose one that you're most comfortable with. And if you can just send a screenshot to Shy Millennials and Travel, we're going to highlight what everyone is engaging in. And the first person to do it will be the lucky winner of our gift card this evening. That's all that I have for our call to action today, but I hope everyone is finding ways to get involved in this important initiative wherever they live and whenever they're traveling. If there's any more questions, we're happy to stay on, but that wraps up our event. And we want to just thank our sponsors again, Katie and Ashley, for coming on and sharing what their properties are doing. And can't wait to get the opportunity to go visit your guys' properties. And thank you everyone for taking the time to join us tonight. And we'll just kind of hang here in the Zoom lobby for any more questions and conversations that people would like to have. But thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks, Carson. It's Katie again here. I just wanted to mention that the $100 gift card could be used at Four Seasons Chicago, which is reopening May 1st as well. And, you know, they have a brand new restaurant there. So, you know, you could use it locally or you could use it at any Four Seasons as well.
Woohoo! That sounds awesome. And challenge accepted for sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ashley and Katie. I really appreciate you guys.